Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn how to generate customized HTML report from cucumber.json file. So let's first see the agenda. In today's video, we are going to see like why do we need a customized HTML report? Okay, why do we need uh, how does a cucumber.json file look and how to read it in Java? Then we'll design a customized HTML report as per our need, and then we'll do coding, like it will do live coding of reading the cucumber.json file and then generate HTML report, and then we'll see how does it look like, whatever we have generated, and then finally we will see that how can we attach this report from Jenkins, and then we can see like in email how does it look like. Okay, that is today's agenda. So first let's discuss uh, why do we need a customized HTML report? Well, this can be very specific to client or project, right? First of all, ask from client for a specific format of summary report. Now we have different types of report, for example, extend report, cucumber report. These are some inbuilt report that we have from third party tool, but client may ask you to give some specific format, in some specific format. Okay, so in that case you may need to generate a customized HTML report for the client. That is first reason. Second is sometimes this third party reporting tool, it can, I mean, you cannot use it maybe in some of the project for security reason. Maybe if you are using in some banking project, that they may have some kind of restriction to use these tools, right? So in that case you can go for customized HTML report. And third point is easy accessing of the generated report. Now, uh, I would say, for example, Cucumber report or Extend report, these reports are pretty well, but one problem that I feel is, let's say you want to share it with your project manager or other stakeholders in your project, right? So in that case, how do you do that? If you are using any CI/CD pipeline like Jenkins, in that you can generate that report and you can share that link, the HTML link with the all the stakeholders. That is one option. Second is if you are generating it locally, then you can zip it and then you can share it in email or something. But in both the cases, if you see, now one your project stakeholders, they might be very busy. Your project manager or maybe above that, they might be very busy, and if they want to just see the report at a glance, it will take time for them, right? So because if you are sharing Jenkins URL, then they have to log in there, and then, I mean, they have to open the URL, log in there, then they can see the report. That is one option. If you are zipping that report, then they have to unzip it, and then they have to search for that index file and then look for the report. So these are a little bit time consuming for them. Instead, if what if you can submit a customized HTML report in the email body itself, right? So they can open the email and they can see that, okay, this is my overall status. So that is another reason. Fourth is ability to include or exclude required info in the part, in the report, sorry. Uh, so there might be some information in this third party report which we don't need. Okay, that I mean the client may be very specific to some specific information which are maybe missing in those third party report, and you just want those, it to be to the point report, right? So in that case you can do a customized HTML report. And the last option is flexibility to modify the report in future as per our need. This is also very important. Now, suppose you are using a ready-made report today. In future, if you want some information to be added, or even currently also if you want to add some specific information which are not available in that report, how do you do that? There is no option in that, right? So in those cases, a customized HTML report will help you a lot. Okay, let's see how does the cucumber.json file look. Okay, so in this framework, this is a BDD framework that I have created, and in this framework, I have taken two feature files. One is this login page. In this login page, we are trying to do to log in successfully to an application, and then with invalid credentials, there are three types of data with invalid credential, and we'll just validate the error message. Okay, so here total four scenarios are there, and there is another feature file. In this feature file there are two scenarios. We'll execute these scenarios and then see what happens. As you see, there are two browsers are opened in parallel, so that is how I have given it, like two threads in parallel. Okay, and finally the execution is completed. If you see here, there is one info, that file. In this location, we have cucumber.json file that contains two features. So we'll see this report in detail, like for these feature files, and after this execution, how does it look like? Okay, so this is where the cucumber.json file has been generated, and as you see, this is how it looks like. But I'll be able to explain it in tree structure more better. So let's move it to some other website. This is called JSON Editor Online. Okay, in this editor, I have pasted the cucumber.json, and then it will show you in the tree map. So let's explore like how does it look like. First, let me just show you. So this is the JSON content, and after you copy paste here all the JSON content, if you click on this arrow, it will copy everything here, and then you can select in which structure you want to see, you want to see this cucumber.json file, right? So I have selected tree, and then I'll show you how does it look like. So first, if you see, uh, there are two items in this. Okay, and we call it as JSON array. You can you can relate this particular symbol, like in Java we declare array of string or array of integer. So similarly here it is array of JSON objects. Okay, now if I further expand it, I'll see there are two more objects here. So whatever in this curly braces, these are JSON object. Okay, and this is first index, this is second index. Let's explore it further, and if I click on this two, you will see on the first index there are few more elements. like line, elements, name, description, ID, something like this. Okay, so first let's see what is the name. Forgot password page. So this is nothing but uh, our feature name, forgot password page, in the first element. And in the next element, the name is login to HRM application. So if I go back here and show you, this is login to HRM application, right? So basically these two objects these two JSON objects are nothing but they are denoting each feature file. Okay, now explore the first feature file. In this feature file, I have four elements. So I have created one hierarchy so that I can able to understand, I can able to explain this properly. If you see here, this is the first JSON array that I was talking about here. Okay, in this there are two items. We call it as JSON map 0. This is 0th index, and JSON map 1. This is the first index. In this we have we'll focus on this elements part. Okay, and these are the value, right? Line, name, description, ID, keyword, these are different value. But if you see in elements, this is another JSON array. So this is, you can understand the hierarchy. First one JSON array, inside that we have two JSON objects, and then again we have four JSON arrays inside the elements object. Okay, so if I further go here, you will see there are total four items here. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. So I have given the name as element 0, element 1, elements 2, and elements 3, because these are the index. So I'll go with now element 0. What does it contain? In element 0, I have these objects, that is line, name, description, type, background, and steps. So that is something I have mentioned here: line, name, description, type, keyword, steps. Okay, now steps is again, it contains JSON array. Okay, let's explore further. So there is one item in this particular JSON array, right? And that has been denoted with 0. So I have also taken step 0 here. In this step 0, if I go further, I have these objects, JSON objects: result, line, name, match after keyword. Okay, so I have given result, line, name, match after keyword. And in this result, if I explore further, these are two values, um, duration and status. Okay, so this is duration and status, and the status is passed. Okay, now understand it in this way. What if you need to, what do you need, okay, to understand whether a scenario is pass or fail? So you have to scan each steps of that scenario and then find out the result of that particular step. So for example, if I show you here, this is which feature file? This is for forgot password page. Let's go to forgot password page. And in this we have one background, right? Condition to check before each scenario. Now as you know, the background will be executed first and then the scenario. As you see here, the first item is background. If you see, the type is background and the name is condition to check before each scenario. Okay, you're able to relate, right? And what is the name? Sorry, after the background, if you see, we have steps. So inside background, how many steps we have? We have one step. This is the URL is launched successfully. This is first step. Inside that step we have few parameters, but we are interested only in this result because I need to find out whether this particular step was pass or fail from this JSON file. Okay, so I look into the result and the status is passed. Okay, this is how you read from the cucumber.json file. Now let's see another example. If you go to step 1 here in this second object, okay, what it says the name validate the cancel functionality feature to scenario 1. So this one, right, it says now it is actually executing the scenario part, and in this scenario part we have three steps. So let's see. If you see the steps, in steps we have three items. Okay, one item for each of this step. Now if you go to the first step, you'll see user clicks on forgot your password link. This is our first step, isn't it? Let's see the second, and the second is user should be able to navigate to reset password page. This is our second step. Now the third one is, sorry, this is step 0 1, and then this is 2, right? This third step is user clicks on cancel button to go back to login page. That is the third step. Okay, and for each of these step we are interested in the result part. Okay, this is result is passed, and then result is passed. Here also result is passed. So what does it mean? It means that for this scenario, the background was also passed and all the three steps are passed for this particular scenario. So I can say that this scenario was completely passed. Okay. In this way, for each scenario using Java code, we have to go here and check each of these steps to find out whether a scenario is passed or failed, right? So this is how the JSON hierarchy it looks like. Okay, in that way, if you go to the next feature file, in this feature file, okay, let's see, in this feature file, this is login page. Now in this feature file, do we have any background? No, we don't have any background. This is the first scenario. So if I go to elements and check for the first one, you will directly see that login with valid credential feature 1 scenario 1. This is the first one because there is no background here. Okay, it will directly start from here, and again there are two steps. In this we should have two steps. Yeah, this is one step, admin and password. Okay, and this is the second step, users should be able to log in successfully. Yes, users should be logging to successfully. So in the next one, if you see login with invalid credentials feature 1 scenario 2, so this is where we are coming, right? And here how many outlines we have three outlines, so that means this scenario will be executed with three different data three times. So total how many scenarios should be there? There should be three scenarios, right? So total four items for this feature file. This is one and this three. So in this way, you can read the JSON file. Okay, you can read the JSON file and then find out uh, what is the overall status of that particular scenario. So now we'll see how using Java we can read this file and then prepare our data. I mean, basically we can collect our data. Now see, from here itself you can see the advantage, correct? If you see here, we have everything, whatever you have in the execution report, you will have everything, all the data here. Okay, you have timestamp, you have name, description, ID, what are the tags used. So you can understand how powerful it is. If you are able to read it use programmatically, you can basically access any of this information and put it into your HTML report. Whatever stakeholder wants to see, you can basically extract it from this JSON file and then you can put it into the report, right? Okay, so next we'll see how using Java we can read it. Okay guys, so before we move to the coding, I would like to tell you like how are you going to approach it, right? So how I'm planning to solve it, basically. Now this is our report that we try to generate. Let's see what we need here. We need feature name, all the feature names. So if you have 5 feature names, so all the 5 features names should be displayed here. Then total scenario in that feature file, how many total pass, how many fail, and then pass percentage, fail percentage. That's right. So what you need? Uh, the first is feature name. If you see this is our JSON file, right? In this JSON file, the first this is the array. The first this is the array element, and inside this array we have two JSON objects. And in this each JSON object, if you see, we get the name here, right? This is the feature name and this is another feature name. So we need to get it from here, and then we need the total scenario, total pass, total fail. Okay, for that we need these elements, and in this element we have all the scenarios, and from each scenarios we need to go to steps and then fetch the result. Okay, whether it is pass or fail for each steps. If all the steps are having past status, then the entire scenario will be considered as past. Okay, so what I am planning to do is I am planning to store the result in a hash map. And how the hash map will look like? So I'm planning to store it in this structure. What is this structure? I'll just quickly tell you. Now first consider this part. Okay, first consider this part. In this part, if you see, this is one hash map, and pass is the key. Okay, and one is the value. So pass is one key and one is the value. Similarly, fail is a key and the two is a value. So this hash map is a string integer combination where I have put pass and fail as a key and the value. Okay, now inside now this is one hash map. Okay, now this is the outer box. If you see, this is another hash map, and in this hash map I have taken the key as the feature name, and the value is this hash map. So this is a nested hash map. That is what we are going to build, right? So feature name, and then if we have pass count and fail count of this feature name, then it will be very easy for us to put the value in the email report, okay, in the HTML report, and also to calculate the pass percentage and fail percentage. Okay, so let's see how are you going to code this. Okay, so we are going to use uh, a third-party library that is called JSON Simple by Google. We are going to use this in our project, and for that you can go to Maven repository and then search for this particular, and then you can copy this URL. Okay, copy this entire thing, and if you go to pom.xml, in the pom.xml I have already pasted it here. So this is the dependency, and if you do a Maven build after this, it will automatically download the jar file so that you can use it. Okay, so I've created here under my project, this is one of my project. In this I have created generate HTML report class. Okay, in this class I am going to use a main method, and in this main method if you see the first line I have written as JSON parser. So this JSON parser, if you see, this is coming from the JSON sample. Okay, so first what is our task, right? We need to see what is our task first we need to parse this entire JSON. Basically we need to read this JSON entire JSON, and then and then we need to put it into some object, JSON object. So that is what I have done. I have created one object of JSON parser, and then inside it I have created a new object of file reader, and inside that I have passed the cucumber dot JSON file path here, right? So this is where, right, we have this cucumber dot JSON we have here. So that is the path I have given here. Okay, and if you see, this is returning one object. So now what we need to do, let's see first whether we are able to read it or not. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll store it in one JSON array, because if you see, this is one array type, right? JSON array, and in this we have these two index 0 and 1. So what I need to do is JSON array, and then I'll give the name as, let's say, root array equal to, and then I need to typecast it because it is in object type, and I need to change it to JSON array. Okay, so we have this root array now, and in this root array, if I now print, let's see, if I print root array dot, sorry, we need to print this. So let's see what happens if I run this. Okay, if you see, it is able to read the entire JSON now. So we are good with the path. Okay, so I'll comment it out, and then let's see what is our next step. What should be our next step? Our next steps should be to iterate over all these elements. So first we need to take the 0th and then the first one. So obviously we need to create one loop here. So for int I will name it as feature id equals to 0, and then I less than root array dot size, and then feature id plus plus, sorry, it should be feature id. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are iterating over this JSON array elements. Okay, we have taken the first one, and then what is our next step? Our next step is to fetch the name of the feature file. Okay, so we need to store it somewhere, so let's do that. Okay, no, sorry, before that we need to take the first index, right? Right now it is, we are iterating over loop, and now we need to take the first one. So for that we'll create one object, and it should be a JSON map, right? It should be, sorry, it should be a JSON object, because this is within this curly braces. Okay, so what we'll do, JSON object, and then we'll give the name as feature object equals to root array dot get, and then feature id. Now if you see, it will throw you one error because it is returning object, but we are expecting JSON object, so we need to again typecast it JSON object. Okay, now in this feature object we have this property, this first property, and I need to get the name first. So I'll create scenario, sorry, it should be feature name equals to feature object dot get name. It is also kind of uh, okay, this is throwing error because we need to convert it to string. Okay, so this is how you can read this name value. It will give you this forgot password page, this one. Okay, fine. Now what should be the next? The next is to get all the elements. Okay, these are all the elements from the feature 1, and this is feature 2. So from the feature 1 I need to take all the elements, and for that what do I need to do? That is to create one JSON array, right? This is one array. So I'll create JSON array, and then we'll give the name as, let's say, element object equal to feature object dot get, and then elements. And again we have to typecast it, so it should be JSON array. Okay, so we have now the element object, right? Let's see, we are here, and now what we need to get all the elements from here. So 0th, first, and all this. Okay, and then basically check the steps here. So that means definitely we need another for loop. Okay, so let's do this. um, this is one JSON array. Okay, so we'll do for int scenario id equals to 0, and then element object dot size, and then scenario id plus plus scenario id is less than this. So we are iterating over uh, all these elements. Okay, now what are we going to do? We are going to take the steps. Okay, so what I'm going to do is uh, I'll create one reusable method in which I'll pass these steps. Okay, I'll pass these steps, which is one JSON array, and it will scan all these other steps. Okay, all these steps, and then get the result from here, whether it is pass or not, and then it will give me a overall result. Okay, whether this particular scenario got passed or failed. So let's develop that. So I'll do what I'll do here. I'll create public static, and then it will return one boolean value, whether it is pass or fail, and then I'll name it as get scenario status. And what it would expect? It would expect one JSON array. So JSON array and step array. Okay, now we'll create try catch block to handle exception, and in this what I'll do, I have the step array. That means I have this part, and in this part now, here I have only one element, but if you see here I have total three elements, so I have to iterate over each of them. So I'll create one uh, for int I equal to 0, I is less than step array dot size, and then I plus plus. In this I'll get the first step object. Okay, this is the step object, I mean JSON object. I'll take the first one, so I'll get JSON object, and then I'll name it as step object equals to step array dot get index of I, and we need to typecast it to JSON object. All right, so we have got this, and once we have got it, then we need to go to the result part. So this result is another JSON object. Okay, so I'll create another JSON object called as result object equal to step object dot get, and then I'll name it as result, because this is the key, right? So I pass it as JSON. Yeah, I have passed the value, and again I'll just typecast it. Fine. Now finally from here I'll get the status. Okay, finally I'll get the status. So I'll check here that if result object dot get, and then status dot, sorry, status dot toString dot equal ignore case passed, and then I will put it into a bracket and check if this is not passed. If this is not passed, then what are you going to do? We're going to simply return, because we don't even want to go further, because it has already failed. So it would have been already failed. So I'll be returning the false. Okay, perfect. Now if all the steps are passed, that means this loop will never return any value, right? This particular condition will never be true. So if we reach here, then we'll return it as true. That means all of my steps would have passed, and then that only we have reached here. And that's why we are returning it as true. In case there is any exception, we'll print it while getting scenario status, and then we'll print the error, and then from here we'll return as false. So we have this method ready. I'll just little bit format it. Okay, so let's get back to here. We have the scenario ID. So we'll use this method to get the scenario status, whether it is pass or fail, using this method. So we have developed this method. Okay, now we can pass this step array. Okay, here, so we can call this we can pass this steps array, and it will automatically scan all the steps, and it will give us the scenario status. Okay, so let's go back here. In this we have this scenario id, so we are here, right? This is our scenario id. Now you need to consider one more thing. See, if we go to our forgot password page, okay, this is our forgot password feature file. Yeah, this is for forgot password page. Now I'll go back here and we'll go to here, forgot password page. In this, if you see, there are actually two scenarios, okay, and one background. But if you see here, we have four elements. Correct, we have four elements. But let's expand it one by one. If you check the first one, it is the type is background, and if you check the second one, the type is scenario. So as you know, first background will be executed, and then the first scenario will be executed. Then again the background will be executed, and then the second scenario will be executed. So that's why we have total four here. But when we are going to report in our the total scenario here, it should not be four, right? It should be two. So that is how we need to handle it. So let's see how can we do that. Now, okay, go back to our page here, the scenario id. So in the scenario id, what we'll do is we'll fetch the type here. So we'll write string type equal to um, that is element object dot. Okay, no, what we need to do is first we need to get the scenario object. So this is where we have elements object, and then we are iterating over the elements, so we have to take the uh, first scenario, right? This first JSON object we need to capture. So what we need to do is string, uh, we'll name it as scenario object equals to element object dot get, and then the index would be scenario id, and again we need the typecasting. So we'll write as JSON object dot get scenario id. What is the error? JSON object require, oh, this should be JSON object. Okay, perfect. Now we have the first scenario from here, and now we need to check the background, whether what is the type of this. So let's see, we'll type string type equal to scenario object dot get, and then here we'll pass the type. Okay, and we need to convert it to string. Perfect. Now, okay, so if the type is background, if type is not equal to null, and type dot equals ignore case um, background. Okay, if this is background, then we need to call this method, and we need to pass this steps array, right? So for that, what I'll do, I'll create one variable called boolean uh, background status background validation status equals to true. Okay, so I'll store it here. This equal to, I'll call this method, and then I will pass what I need to pass, scenario object dot get, and then it should be steps, and again we'll just typecasting it, that is JSON array. So if the type is background, then I am storing it in one boolean variable, that is background validation status. Okay, now think about it. If the status, if the type, sorry, if the type is background, then you need to validate the scenario status altogether, right? So what I am trying to say here is, we'll see the status from here and the scenario status, and then we'll do the AND operation. Okay, and if both of them are true, that means this entire scenario is pass. So both background and the scenario. Okay, fine. So let's see how can we do that. Okay, if this, then we need to store another variable. So I'll name it as boolean scenario status equals to true. Okay, this is our scenario status. So what I'm going to do here is, now see, now we need this object. Okay, the next object, immediate next object will be your scenario status, correct? So what I need here is, I will need to fetch the second scenario ID, that is JSON object equals JSON object, and then, sorry, what we'll do is, we'll use the same scenario object equal to element object dot get, and then scenario ID plus one. Also let's typecast it, JSON object, sorry, JSON object, right? So now we have, what is this error? Okay, get, perfect. So now I have this, correct? I have this, the next object, JSON object, and I need to again call the same method to get the scenario status, scenario status equal to get scenario status, and then I'll copy this entire thing, right? So we have the status of both background and this as well. Okay, now I need to find out the final validation status. So I'll create another variable called as final validation status equal to true, right? So what would be my final validation status? That is final validation status. Okay, I'll do it in other way. Okay, leave it now. Now if this is background, okay, else if this is not background, then what? Then simply what we need to do is, we need to get the JSON object here. So we have already got it here, right? And then we'll just pass scenario status equal to this, right? I'll just get the scenario status. I don't need to get the background status. So if the condition is not true, I mean if it is not background, then our background validation status is by default true, right? We are assuming that there is no background, that means that is true, and the scenario status will be changed accordingly, right? So once this is done, then we can say our final validation status equal to background validation status and operation scenario validation scenario status, right? So this is our final validation status that we'll get. Perfect. Now, as I have uh, got the final scenario status, I need to store it somewhere, right? So I have explained that how are we planning to store it? This is how we are trying to store it. So we'll define one uh, variable called hash map, and then string, and then hash map string comma integer. We'll name it as summary map, summary map equal to new hash map, right? So you need to store it. Okay, how are you going to store it now? Okay, here I have uh, the scenario status, whether it is pass or failed, I have in this, and I have the feature name, correct? Okay, now I'm going to check that if, so check if uh, feature name already exists in the map. Summary map dot get feature name is not equal to null. What does it mean? It means, see, understand here, for one feature we'll iterate over all the scenario, right? And as soon as we get one scenario status, we'll keep adding in the map. So if it is already present there, then we need to fetch the data first. So if this is already present, we need to fetch the pass or fail, and then if the current scenario is pass, then we'll add the pass count by 1, and if it is fail, then we'll add the fail count by 1, and then again put it back to the map, right? That is how we need to approach. So I'm saying if the summary map dot get feature name, if it is not equal to null, then uh, int pass count equals to summary map dot get feature name dot get, what are we going to name it? We are going to name it as pass. Okay, this is our pass count. And here it is fail count equal to get feature name dot get. Okay, so we have pass count, fail count now, and now we are going to check if final validation status equal to true, then what are we going to do? We'll do pass count equal to pass count plus 1, right? Else, that is if it is fail, so we'll do fail count equal to fail count plus 1. So what are we going to do now? We need to replace this. For that, we'll create one temporary hash map. Okay, here is how. Hash map and then string integer. Okay, we'll name it as temp equal to new hash map, and now we are going to put this new value here. So we'll put temp dot put and pass is total pass count, and temp dot put fail count, right? So we have now this temporary hash map and we are going to replace it. So we are going to say dot put feature name comma temp, right? So we have put it back with the same feature name, so it will basically override the previous value with the new one. That is when we have this already present. Let me format it so that, yeah, okay. Next, what if it is not present? So in the else part, if it is not present, what are we going to do? We are going to create this hash map first, this temporary hash map, and if the final validation status equal to true, that means if the scenario is passed, then int, if it is passed, then what, then we'll do temp dot put pass comma 1, temp dot put fail comma 0, right? This is the first time we are entering when in the else condition. Else, so if the scenario got failed, then what are we going to do? We are going to put as pass count as 0, temp as 1, and then what, then we'll just put it into the summary map dot put and feature name that's it. Let me format it, right? So our code is almost ready to act, at least capture the summary map, but one more step, think about it. Now here in our case, the first is background. So as I said, if it is background, then we need to scan the next element as well, right? The next scenario as well, and then together we need to decide about the overall status. But our loop says here, when we are iterating over the element object, where is that? Scenario, this is scenario, this is feature. Yeah, this is where we are getting the elements and then we are iterating over each scenario, right? Now scenario id plus plus, here we are doing, that means we are going one by one here. But as this is background, okay, as this is background, we have already validated the next one with by incrementing the scenario id. So we need not to validate this again. It will be then, else it will give you a wrong result, right? So rather we need to move to the second one here in the second position, right? So that's why what we'll do is we'll not increment it here. feature id. Rather, we will increment it here. That is, if this is background, then we have got the scenario status, and now feature id equal to feature id plus 2. So we'll increment it by 2. In the else part, we'll increment it as it is, that is feature id plus 1. This is the trick, right? So in this way, now if I run it, okay, if I run it and if I print the summary map, then hopefully we should have the status, like how many total pass or fail for this particular JSON. So let's see. Now this is where our loop starts, and I'll print it here. Okay, let me format it. Okay, let's see now. Let's try to run it. So forgot password page, fail 0, pass 4. That means there is some problem. There is some problem in the code. The forgot password page, here it is giving 4, right, which is wrong. It should be 2 because there are two backgrounds, and also it is missing the second one, the second feature file. So let's see what could be the issue. To increment it, right, it should be feature id plus plus. Yeah, it should be feature id plus plus, and then forgot password page, why it is giving me, or rather what I need to do, I need to feature id, no, this is wrong, right? We need to remove this scenario id, and this is scenario id equal to scenario id plus 2, and here also scenario id equal to scenario id plus 1, right? We, because feature id, uh, feature we have to go, right? The next one as well we need to go. Feature is this 0 at 0 and 1. We need to iterate over these elements, so that is what I have skipped here. Okay, I have incremented rather here. So now let's see. Yep, now we have the correct result. That is forgot password page. If you see fail 0, pass 2, so it has not considered the background as scenario, and login to HRM application, fails 0 and pass 4. So perfect till now. Now what we need, so we have the feature name and the total pass and fail, this particular mapping we have. Okay, now we need to calculate the percentage. Okay, the fail percentage, pass percentage, and fail percentage. So what I'm planning to do is, because I want to put all this information, right, all this information into one hash map, and for each row I'll put it into one hash map, and then for each row I'll put it into one list. So I'm going to create one list of hash map to store all this data, so that when we run the loop in future to generate the report dynamically, it will be easy for us. Okay, so we are going to create a new method now, uh, public static, and then what it would return it would return me one list of hash map string comma string, and we'll call the name, the method name should be, let's say, get report data. Okay, and in this we are going to pass the summary map. Okay, what is the type of the summary map? This is the type, so I'll put it here, and I'll import the list java util. Great. Now try catch block. Right, so what we need in this summary map, now we have the mapping for each feature. What is the total scenario, pass and total fail, and we need to calculate the percentage and the total scenario. Correct. So let's see. What we'll do is we'll create one for each loop, and for each loop we'll get the string feature name, and what would be my value? That is summary map dot key set. Right, what it does, that is, it will iterate over each feature file, right? Okay, now to calculate the total scenario and the pass count uh, I mean the total scenario and the pass percentage fail percentage, we need to first fetch the pass count and fail count. So int, let's say, pass count equal to uh, summary map dot get, and then feature name dot get pass. Okay, int fail count equal to summary map dot get feature name dot get fail. Okay, now what would be my total scenario? That is, total scenario should be pass count plus fail count. Okay, and what should be the pass percentage and fail percentage? That we are going to take as double because it can be decimal, right? So we'll say pass percentage equal to, we'll convert these to double, so double of pass count divided by double of fail count, right? I'm sorry, now what should be the formula? So we'll write double pass percentage equal to, so in total scenario how many are pass, that many. We are, will say, double pass count divided by double total scenario, right? And I'll put it into one bracket multiplied by 100. Correct, this is our pass percentage, double fail percentage equal to, again I'll just copy paste this, and in the pass count I'll put it as fail count. That's it, I have pass percentage, fail percentage, pass count, fail count, total scenario, and also the feature name. So we have everything here that we need to generate this report. this all this 6 value. So what we are going to do is we are going to put it into one hash map. Okay, so for each iteration I'll assign one hash map here, which would be string type, and we'll name it as temp value equal to new hash map. Perfect. Okay, now temp value dot add temp value dot put. First, what we need? First, we need the feature name. So feature name, and the value is feature name. Okay. Next is total scenario dot put total scenario, and it should be, see, now total scenario is integer type, but we need to put it into string format. So I'll just, what I'll do, I'll concatenate with the empty string that will convert it to string. Similarly, temp value dot put total scenario, and then what we need, that is pass percentage, sorry, pass count. So we'll name it as pass, and then again concat it with pass count. Okay, again here I'll put it as fail, count, temp value dot put, then pass percentage, here as well I'll do the same, temp value dot put fail percentage. Okay, so all this value I have put it into one hash map, and now I need to put it into one list. Okay, so I am going to create a consolidated list here, and I am going to name it as, so I'll copy this, consolidated data for report to new array list. I've defined it, and now in this list for each iteration I'll add the temp value. So you have understood, right? For each feature in this summary map we have data for each feature file, how many total pass and how many fail. So we are iterating over each feature file and then calculate the percentage and total scenario and put it into a list. Okay, but if you see carefully, we need the total row as well, the last row. How are you going to calculate that, right? So for that, for each step, for each iteration, we need to calculate the total, correct? So let's see how. For that, I will declare two variable here, three variables. So total scenario result, or I'll say total scenario last row equal to 0, then int total pass last row, and total fail last row equal to 0. Three variable. Now for each iteration we'll add it. Okay, we'll add it here, that is total scenario last row equal to total scenario last row plus total scenario in the current feature, isn't it? Similarly, total pass last row equal to total scenario, sorry, total pass last row plus pass count, total failed last row equal to total failed last row plus fail count. Okay, so after all the iterations are done, now we are going to calculate same percentage. What we are going to calculate here, pass percentage, I'll give the name as last row, and here also last row, double pass count. Okay, so we need to give total pass last row here and total scenario last row. Similarly here, total fail and this. So this will give me here the final result. Okay, and I'm going to store it again in the same variable. So I'll copy this entire thing. I'll again declare a temporary hash map and I'll put all the value here, but instead of this, here the feature name, what is the feature name in this? This is total. So I'll name it as total. This is a hardcode value because this is the last row. Okay, there is no feature here. I just need to populate this total as value here. That's why I have put it. And total scenario, what is the total scenario? Total scenario would be this. Total pass count should be this. Total fail is this. Oh, I'm sorry. Total fail should be here. Then pass percentage should be here. Fail percentage should be here. Correct? So we have now all the data with us. We have it ready. So I'll return this variable. Okay, now if I go to the exception part, I'll simply print the exception occurred while getting the summary report, and then print the exception, and then from here I'll return it as null. Okay, so in this way we'll get the consolidated report. Now only the last problem that we have to generate the HTML report. Okay, for that I am going to create another method called public static, and here in this case we don't expect any return, so public static void generate HTML report, and we will take this as input parameter, right? And try catch exception E. Fine. Now what? So here is our background code of the report that we want to generate, right? What we need to do is what I mean, I'll just tell you the plan, right? The plan is, see, we need to generate this code automatically using our Java code, and then if we pass it to a writer, we can generate one HTML report, right? So think carefully here. till here till here everything is same, right? We just need to change this project name as per our need. So what I'll do is I'll copy till here, and then here I'll define one string called as HTML report string equals to, inside this put this entire thing. Okay, so till here I have generated everything, and I can change it here. So sample project name, I'll give the name as demo to generate HTML report. This is the name I have given, and I have kept it test automation summary report. I'm going to keep it as it is. I'm not going to change it. Now this part, right? One row. This one row is what? One row is this rows in our report, right? So this is something we need to generate through loop. So let's see how. Okay, so I'm going to create for int I equal to 0, I is less than, what is our variable? This is consolidated report. Okay, I plus plus dot size, and then I plus plus. And now what are we going to do is HTML report string equals to HTML report string plus, here I will put it, this entire thing I'll put it here. So I'm concatenating the previous HTML report string with the new one inside a for loop. Okay, inside a for loop. In this, the feature name, what should be the feature name? That will populate using consolidated report dot get index of I dot get, and then what is the value that we have put, what is the key? This is the key. So make sure it should be exactly same, else it will not give you the value. So in this way we'll populate the value from this variable dynamically. Perfect. So we have concatenated. So now what will happen? We have in the consolidated data, we have two feature file in our case, that is login application, this login page, and the forgot password. These two feature files we have. So those two will be added, and then at the end we had this total scenario, the total row, right? This data we have. So it will iterate 3 times, and then 3 row will be added. Okay, finally once everything is added, then we need to append this 3 line, because that is the end of this tags, table tag, body tag, and the HTML, the main root tag. Okay, fine. So we are going to this, to this, equal to HTML this plus, and then we'll copy this, put it over here. That's our entire HTML string. Okay, now the next is to generate the report. To write it, okay, now generate report. Okay, to write it, what we are going to do, we'll create one more try catch block because it may throw some exception in case. Okay, so that's why I'm wrapping it up. I am going to create one of, sorry, create of writer. This is from java.io, and then file writer equals to new file writer, and inside this new file writer we need to create a file object, and in this we need to pass where we want to generate the report. So what I want to generate it inside the target. Okay, you can give any other folder as well as per your need. So I'll give the path as system dot get property user dot directory user dot directory, and then slash target uh, slash, I'll name it as HTML report dot HTML, right? So I have created one file writer, and then file writer dot write. What I need to pass here is HTML report string, right? This entire string I need to write it down, and then finally file writer dot close. Okay, then once everything is done, I want to print a report generated successfully. That's it. And if there is any exception, then I would like to print exception occurred. Oh, I need to give an object here, exception e, exception occurred while generating the report. Okay, so that's all. And what is this? Okay, this is the entire HTML. Here also I am going to show the message is exception occurred while um, while generating the report string, and I'll keep the error message here. Perfect. Now I think we are good. Format it little bit. So okay, let's see where we here we were showing the summary map, right? So once all the iterations are done, okay, once all the iterations are done, then first we need to call this uh, get report data, and what it is going to send me, that is list of this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is where let me check. So after this line equals to get report data, and we'll pass the summary map. Okay, now we have the consolidated data. Finally we'll get, sorry, generate HTML report, and we'll pass this. So these two lines should now generate the report. Okay, let's see, let's try to run it now. Okay, perfect. So report generated successfully, Then let's see whether the report, yeah, this HTML report here, it has been generated, and I'll open it in browser Chrome. uh, so see here, demo to generate HTML report, everything is same, that is good. Total scenario 2, forgot password page, here also it is 2, but there is no total call row here, and the fail percentage is null. Let's see what is the problem. Okay, what is the problem? For each row the fail percentage is null. Hmm, okay, this is our fail percentage, fail count by total scenario into 100. Getting fail, this is pass fail, we are adding it, pass fail, um, and fail count, fail count, and the total scenario. The total column has also not, oh, we have not added it here. Okay, consolidated report dot put, sorry, should be dot add, and then temp value. So that is the problem of our total, the last row. Now if I run it again, let's see what happens. Okay, it has been generated, and I'll refresh the page. So now total has also appeared here, but the problem is the fail percentage is still null. Why? Fail percentage is just the fail percentage. Oh, there is a spelling mistake. See, here I have given correct spelling, but here there is a spelling mistake. Percentage, percentage. Okay, it should be TAGE here, and percentage, here also it should be percentage. So now it looks good. Let's run. Okay, let me refresh it. Oh, I have made some other mistake, I think. I have not changed it here. Here it happens. So we need to see where we are making the error, and then we need to fix it. That's fine. So let's rerun and then see if everything is fine now. Yes, now perfect. So our report has been generated. Demo to generate report, HTML report. We have changed this name, right? And the forward password page, there are 2, login to HR, and there are 4. There is no failure, and total is 6. That's right. Okay, now we'll see how you can attach this in Jenkins and then email it. So before we see the email part, like how do we attach that HTML report in the email in Jenkins, one more question, right? That is, how do you basically, we have created this generate HTML report, that is fine, but this is the main method. Now, how do we call this from Maven command line? Because we cannot execute it manually, right, and then generate the report and then attach it in Jenkins. It is not like the case. So once all the executions are completed, this particular class, this main method should be triggered automatically, and then the report should be generated automatically. For that, you need one plugin, Maven plugin. This is called exec Maven plugin. You can get it from Maven Central Repository. This is what the plugin is, exec Maven plugin. In this plugin, this is how you need to give in the configuration part, right? In this configuration part, you need to define the main class. So here I have defined my full path of that um, this class, right? That is wordg.examples. So if you see from here, wordg.examples.utils and then generate HTML report. Okay, this is what you need to give. And one more change you need to do, that is, so here this is our Maven command line. In this Maven command line, we have clean test. So first, clean means it will clean the target folder. That means whatever report would have already generated, that will be first removed so that you get the fresh report every time. And then these are specific to my project, so I am not going here. You need to give the tags, that is which tag you want to execute. For our case, it is feature execution. And then at the end, if you see at the end, we have given exec Java. Okay, this is the part which will execute this generate HTML report and then generate the um, report, HTML report. Okay, so I will show you, like, let me run it. So before running it, I'll just delete this report, so that we just want to make sure that this report is being generated. So I have removed it. Anyways, up in the clean, it will clean everything, the entire target. So I'll run it. Yeah. So okay, all the executions are completed, and if you see here, generated report generated successfully, right? After all the executions are completed, it shows a message that this is where our cucumber.json contains two features, and after that it says exec Maven plugin. This is what being executed, and it has executed the report generated. Okay, now let's see whether the report generated. Yes, this is generated. And if I go in the Explorer, yes, so if I open now, yeah, the report generated perfectly, right? So this is how you can in the from the Maven command line because I wanted to show you, because this is what you need to use in Jenkins as a command line, right? Then only it will first generate the report, and then only you can attach that in the email. So that's why I wanted to show you. So now we'll move to the email reporting part in the Jenkins. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to see how can we attach that report in our email from Jenkins. Okay, so for that I have just created one sample job here, and I'll show you the configuration. Okay, so in this post build actions, um, if you go and select the editable email notification, there will be one option. Okay, in this add post build actions, you will see that, okay, editable email notification, because I have already selected it, so that's why it is grayed out. And in this you can give the project, uh, I mean, to whom you want to email in this, and then reply to. Okay, content type. The content type you can select HTML or plain text. So if you are attaching one HTML report, then it should be HTML, or I would prefer both HTML and plain text, because if you want to write something in the email body, then it should be HTML and plain text both. Then you can give the subject of that email, and this is where you need to put the path. Okay, so here if you see, this is the syntax in dollar sign file path equal to, and then the path of this HTML report. So in our case it is target and then slash HTML report dot HTML. So what will happen in this, that is in your email body itself, okay, this report will be embedded. So it will not come as attachment, rather it will, in the email body itself it will come as a report. Okay, so this is how you can do it. Okay, and I think that's all for this video. In the next video, what I'm planning to do is maybe to modify the report little bit and then show you, because right now whatever report we have, that is all pass, right? So if there is any failure, then how does it look like, or whether all the percentage, everything is being displayed properly or not. And then I would like to add one more section in the report, that is, uh, if there is any failed test case, then what was the failed test case and from which feature file it belongs to, and then what is the failure reason. That will add at the below. Okay, I mean, whatever summary part first, and then we'll put that details as well, and then see how does the report look like, because that will be more comprehensive, right? If there is any failure, then in the email itself you can come to know that, okay, what is the failure reason. So that we'll see in the next video, because this video is already very long. uh, I'll keep it for the next video. Okay, that's it from my side. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you like the video. Thank you.